Hi everybody, in this video we're going to be talking about factorials. Factorials are a number that you see with an exclamation afterward. That does not mean that the number is excited. It simply means that there's actually a symbol. It's a shorthand way of writing something, just like a lot of our symbols like squares and cubes and stuff like that. And so the definition of factorial means that we're going to take the number and we're going to multiply each time by 1 less than the number, then 2 less than the number, then so on and so forth. We're going to repeat this all the way down until we get to 3 times 2 times 1. So in other words, I think it'd be easier just to show you with 5. When you see 5 with an exclamation point, that's read as 5 factorial. That's how you say it. Okay, so let's write that down below because we want to sound intelligent as we speak. We say that's 5 factorial. And really what it means is that's a shorthand way of writing 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. We start with this number and we work all the way down to 1. So that's what we mean by this. That n is the first number, 5. 5 minus 1 is the 4. 5 minus 2 is the 3. And we keep repeating down as many times as we need to until we get to 3, 2, 1. Okay, so what is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1? The answer is 120. Okay, 5 factorial is 120. Now, I'm going to work through these. Notice in this one, this is 6 times 4 factorial. Notice the thing is, it's not 24 factorial, okay? It is not this, because that's 24 times 23 times 22 times 21. What this says is I need to first do 4 factorial and take care of that. After I get that answer, then I need to multiply by 6. So the only thing that has the factorial sign, the exclamation point, is the 4. So I have 6 times, and then it's 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 for the 4 factorial. Okay, a lot different than 24 times 23 times 22 times 21. So if I go through and I multiply these out, what is 6 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1? It's 144. Over here, what happens if we're working with fractions? So once again, I know that you have 2 factorial and 4 factorial, okay, but you got to understand as I look at each piece individually, 2 factorial is really 2 times 1, and 4 factorial is really 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. In other words, you can't take 2 factorial times 4 factorial and say that it's 8 factorial. You cannot absolutely do that, okay? Because I would have people here, the thing I'm concerned about, and the reason I show this example is I'm worried about you saying, well, that's 8 on top and that's 8 on bottom, so they go away and this is a 1. That cancels down to 1. You can see here if I write it out longhand that that's absolutely not the case. Okay. On the top, I have 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And then before I go through and multiply this out, I do want you to notice that, like, for instance, see the 4, 3, 2, 1? They go away, the top and the bottom. And then furthermore, I can make it even easier if I understand that, like, maybe the 8 and the 2 reduce down, or I can choose the 6 and the 2, whatever. But I could say, you know what, 8 over 2 is the same thing as 4 over 1. So really, on the bottom here, everything went away and I'm just left with 1. On the top, I really just have 4 times 7 times 6 times 5. Okay, so 7 times 6 times 5 times 4. It's the same thing as that. Okay, what is 7 times 6 times 5 times 4? It's 840. It's 840. Last problem here. What if I get 8 factorial on top? That is to say 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And on the bottom, I get 2 plus 4 factorial. Now notice in this case we have to do order of operations. I have to do the 2 plus 4 first to understand what I'm trying to do the factorial of. So really the bottom does become, in this case, 6 factorial. Okay? Because of the parentheses, that happens. So on the bottom I have 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And I want you to see before we go any farther, this goes away, those go away, those go away, all of those go away. I'm really left with just an 8 times 7 on the top, which is just 56. I don't even need a calculator for that. Now what would be really nice is if the calculator would do this for you. And so I just want you to understand that that is possible. We just have to be able to find the exclamation point button on our calculator, right? And so let's go through and let's learn how to do that, just in case I get 120 factorial and I don't want to have to do all those numbers. In the math menu, if I hit math menu, you'll see that I have some options here that we've used a lot, right? The fraction and the decimal thing, the cube and cube root. If I go to number, okay, we've done a few of these like absolute value. If I keep scrolling over to the probability area, which is the chapter we're in, okay, it's the last one, probability, you're going to see that the exclamation point is option 4. And so that's how I can easily get to it. Okay. Oh, let's don't do 840 factorial. Let's replace that with 5. What is 5 factorial? I type that in and it gives me the 120. What is 6 parentheses 4 math menu option 4 factorial? It's 144. What is 8 factorial over 2 factorial times 4 factorial? Now watch how I type it in. My parentheses are important here. What is 8 factorial divided by parentheses 2 factorial times 4 factorial? The reason I need the parentheses here is to get them both in the denominator. If I forget the parentheses, then the 4 factorial is going to be off to the side. It's not going to be placed in the denominator. So I need to remember that those need parentheses if I'm going to do it on my calculator. But it's 840. And then the last one here. What is 8 factorial divided by parentheses 2 plus 4 factorial? And the answer is 56. So as long as you know how to get to that math menu and use the probability menu over here, you can do these on your calculator. You just got to be careful about the parentheses, right? Just like everything else we've typed in. So hopefully that makes sense. Sometimes they're going to be easier to do by hand like this. You know, that's pretty quick. But if we get really big numbers, it might be helpful to know how to use the calculator as well.